Welcome back to Intentional Queen Podcast Journey to Restoration, where women come to be empowered on their self love, self healing, and growth mindset journey. I am Janine. I am the host. I'm a certified life coach on mindset growth and self love. And listen, I'm just so grateful to have you with me today. It is summertime now, and we're in June. And we just had Father's Day. So shout out to the men that are listening. Happy Father's Day. And if you a single mom doing things all by yourself, and sometimes you a mama and sometimes you the daddy, we shouting you out. We also got some aunties and uncles that step in that role. So we just shouting out everybody. Let's talk about some things that's been going on. You know, I dropped the ebook last month and it is blessing women near and far. I'm calling it the Hot Girl Summer Reading, and it's just upgrading women's lives. It's about single moms. I did it as a Dear Diary, just about some things that I was going through, some trials and tribulations that I thought would be a blessing to some people. See, I'm on some Facebook groups and I'm in some circles, and these were some of the lessons that I've kind of learned along the way. And what I started to realize is there were women who weren't mothers who really did embrace some of the knowledge that was there. So, what I guess I have to change it up and not just call it Dear Diary Single Moms, but we're going to have to call it something else. But hey, if you want to get that ebook because it is selling, I have a promotional code going on right now. You type in podcast, PODCAST, to get your 25% off discount. Just slide over to my website at intentionalqueenjourney.com. You will see it there. I have it on the homepage and I even made a blog for it. So everything's there. I even made a YouTube video because people said, Nee, how do I get it? That's how you get that thing right there. And you can print it up. I printed up my own copy because I really like it. Sometimes you just want to go through, highlight, and do that so you can have it printed up. But most people now look at everything through their e-reader, so it allows you to do that. Thank you so much for signing up to the Intentional Refuel. It comes out the last Thursday of every month. So when this episode comes, you won't get it until the last Thursday. So we have some new events coming up. I'm getting ready to make the Hot Girl Healing Summer event. We did in October the Healing Summit, which was my 1 year podcast anniversary. We had over 100 views. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it to be too many people, but it's definitely blessing people, and people were sharing it on their own social media. So thank you to anybody who shared it or sent in some comments or just reaching out to me and let me know that it was a blessing. Thank you to my guests that came through and gave a good word to the women. And so I felt that was the fall, and now we're going to do something in the summer. So I'm getting something put together. And people said, Nee, how can I find out about the event? Slide over to intentionalqueenjourney.com and get on the newsletter. I'll be sending out information as things are coming through, so you will be first to know. Okay. And it'll be virtual again, so it'll be easy for you. Just click in, join me in the crew, and we just gonna go ahead and make it a hot healing girl summer. Okay, that's what we're doing out here. So that was pretty much all of my updates. I did a podcast interview this past weekend with Coach Erin King. She's going to come through later this month, and you'll get to hear our podcast interview. But we did an IG impromptu live, and I think it was very fitting for me to talk about it now because I'm going to probably call this episode Becoming Comfortable with Being Uncomfortable. And I was coaching one of my clients on this too. So I feel like there's a space and a place for this. And if it's going to be about hot healing girl summer, then this is something that's going to help you heal and elevate your mind to do something that's outside of your comfort. And so what me and Miss Erin did was we dropped the podcast, did our thing, and then I said, girl, let's go over here to IG Live and just do an impromptu thing, and let's just talk about a few things. And she shared a few tips about what she felt was important for self-love and healing journey. So make sure you follow her over at Journey in Her Shoes and follow me over at Intentional Queen Journey. But if you go over to my Instagram, you'll be able to see our live that we did, and I thought we did a good job. But we were showing people how vulnerability and courage and just stepping out and doing some things can be good when you step outside of your comfort zone. So it's only right that I'm talking about the IG live because we did that thing. Shout out, Erin. I see you, boo. So she'll be sliding over to the event as well. She will be one of my guest speakers. So you'll be hearing more from her. And she also has me coming over to her Instagram to do Own Your Story. Don't quote me, but I think she does it about monthly. And she picks a woman that she wants to come over and she wants them to share their story. And it's like a IG live. So your girl Janine will be over on her Instagram in July as well, dropping some of my story over there. So just make sure you support the crew, because remember, iron sharpens iron. And also, your net worth is as good as your network. And so you need to cast your net. And when you cast your net, that is where you end up realizing what's out there. And that's why I feel like this episode is just fitting for right now because of everything that just happened. So, how do we kind of talk about becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable? You just have to step out. You just got to step out there. But once you know who you are and you start to feel more comfortable in your skin, you'll just go ahead and do it naturally. You won't really care what people think about you because people will always have something to say. But when you know who you are, you can just step out and just try it. And if it don't work, then like I tell people, you pivot. My last episode was on perfection paralysis, and I talked about how things happen. You get to a place that if it's not perfect, you can still make progress. And baby steps is still a step. And if that's what's happening for you, like just keep baby stepping out there, because the next thing you know, you didn't step all the way out there when you look back. And remember that the rearview mirror is small for a reason, for you to glance back. Your front windshield is big for you to focus forward. And see, when you trust in the process and you going out there, because I said, what? You a giraffe in these streets. Like when you have vision and you're going far, you'll become better at becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you just keep making baby steps, and then you'll start to track your progress. Remember, I speak in layers. So last one was talking about your progress, right? And remember Thomas Edison, he tried to do that light bulb like thousands of times. And so when things don't go right, you just pivot, and it's okay to lose, but you can learn from those lessons. There's something to be gained. That's why I always say win or learn and not win or lose, because I want you to come to a place that you understand, even if you didn't win, you learned something from that thing, of what you will do, what you won't do, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, what you will pivot and change. Like it's just so many revelations that can come from that. Remember, hurt people hurt people. So my whole moral of that hot healing girl event is heal people. And you want to start attracting what you're putting out. When you sowing seeds out there, you want to be sowing good, because when you sow good, you reap good. And so I'm out here just trying to sow good so I can reap good. And when you are not healed, you're like bleeding on people, and you may start to attract those type of people. And when you're trying to do better, that's not really the way that will help you on your healing journey. And we also talked about, me and Aaron, on that IG Live. I know I keep going back to it, but it was just so many revelations that we had there. But you really gonna love our podcast episode because we dug deep. But we skimmed the surface in the IG Live. And I just really want y'all to understand that when you just start and you get out your own way, is such a blessing, because you never know. It only takes one. You hear me? It only takes one to tell one to tell one. So by us jumping on there, I inspire for impact. That's always my goal. And if I can reach one, that's all I really need. And there's no comparison that really needs to be made, meaning like don't compare your journey to another woman's journey, because really her journey could be totally different. And what Erin was talking about on part of the live is she was saying that she makes journey with an E and not a Y, because every woman's journey is different. And I thought that was like, boom, mic drop. Yes, it's all different. So we're all at stages and phases in our growth. And it's just very important for you to get a hold of. Don't compare where the next woman is in her journey, because you don't know her story. Okay. Because I have met some women that I look at them, I wouldn't even believe the stories. Okay. And I'm like, girl, you out here doing the thing and all that happened. So that goes to show that you may not look like what you've been through. I had one on and did a video, and I was just talking about, just because you carry it well doesn't mean it's not heavy and it's not hard. And that right there, that touched some people. That's on my Instagram too, at Intentional Queen Journey. So you can go and watch that video. And that was a good video. But I was just speaking about how you may not look like what you've been through. You may not look like what you're going through. Don't judge a book by its cover. Like you really don't know. until people give you bits and pieces and then you like, wow. And so just because you carry it well does not mean it's not heavy or it's not hard. And I had encouraged people to kind of lay down the burden or express the discomfort or speak about it, right? Because this is where becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sometimes we don't want to share our story. And so you find a safe place to do it. Shot out one of my clients, she really wrote me a lovely, lovely testimonial of our coaching. But one of the things that she said is Janine makes it a safe place. So sometimes you have to create a safe place. So I feel like when you come to the intentional queen journey, like that's where I'm trying to create that safe place for you to be healed, for you to become whole, for you to recognize that it's women that see you. It's nothing like being seen. I don't know who that's for, and I'm getting off tangent of what I wanted to say, but I mean, I told you I pray and I'm led by what needs to be said. So this is for somebody. You just wanted to be seen. We see you. We see you. You seen. And it's safe to let down the guard, but it's just recognizing that sometimes we walk around with our mask on, meaning our representative self, and not being our true self because we're so afraid of being judged or people won't accept us or it may be rejection. But I'm here to let you know that sometimes there's power in rejection because you want what's for you. You hear me? You want what's for you. What you thought you wanted might not be what you needed. And it's okay to take the mask off. And I'm going to shout out Vanessa Swain on this one. It's okay to take the cape off, okay? Because sometimes the cape is a mask. And when she said that, that was a mic drop. I said, ooh, that's good because superwoman syndrome is real. And we be running around here with a mask and a cape trying to save. And that's when you heard me talk about one of my episodes about Dora the Explorer. Put your own backpack on and you make other people put their own backpack on because you're walking around injured. There's courage and vulnerability. Brene Brown is an author, and she's also she was on Oprah, and she got a podcast, and she did a TED talk, and all this stuff. But she really was like the whole woman behind vulnerability, and vulnerability is courage. You know, it's not easy to step out there and talk about your story. It could be uncomfortable. It's not easy doing things you're not used to doing. Like me and Aaron said, like we don't be out there doing IG lives. We don't be out there, just doing videos. We holler at you on a one to one. And God had showed us that we need to step into other arenas. And I had said to her, it's nice when you start to attract the audience that's for you. And this is getting ready to bless somebody too. Sometimes it's not your supporters that make you move, it's your haters. One more time for the person in the back. Sometimes it's not your supporters that make you move, it's your haters. So sometimes you don't want haters, but you need haters. Haters sometimes help you to understand when it's time to move or when it's time to pivot. Sometimes they're the catalyst, right? When you have a catalyst, what a catalyst means is it creates a reaction that turns into a chain reaction. So you need something that gets it you ignited to keep moving. So sometimes when things are up against you, you need to understand that that could be the catalyst because you need to be doing something else. Because if you hang around your supporters all the time, you will become comfortable. And what's the name of this episode? Becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's making that move into those uncomfortable places. Ooh, that's a word. How can we do this? I was coaching on some things about gates versus walls. So for the people who are new here, I'm a nurse. And being a nurse, you know, when we was learning about the cells and the phospholipid layers around the cell, you know, the body's made of cells that make it to organs and then make it into you know, body systems and it goes on. But the point that I'm saying here is the reason why there is a cell membrane around the cell is to allow things in and to release things. And around that membrane, there's also different parts that make up the membrane to allow certain things in and keep certain things out. And when you are becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, you have to learn how to have gates and not walls. And see, when you've been through a lot of trauma and you've been through a lot of hurt and you've been through a lot of pain and you've been through a lot of foolery, what happens is this: you be like, nah, we're not doing that again. There's a big wall. Okay, wall is high. What I tell the girl, I was like, "What's that? The javelin or whatever? You gotta throw the pole and jump over." Like people be trying to get over your wall, they got to get the javelin and get on out there. But really, what you can do is start to create a gate. And a gate is you have a gatekeeper or a security guard at the door, and it's going to just go ahead and frisk down and see who can come in, who can't, because you can't walk around being so hardened that you don't allow in what's for you, because you block your blessings sometimes. That's where I'm going with that. Walls can block blessings. You use it as protection, but you could be blocking blessings too. And the way to kind of get more comfortable with being uncomfortable is to have gates, because then you allow in the people that are for you, or allow in the things that are for you, or try some new things that you think that may help you, because you get to a point that you realize, well, this seems okay. Let me try that. Let me not try not doing everything again. Let me not just shun everything because of that incident. Like, get up and try again, but be mindful. Look at red flags. Me and Aaron talked about that too. Sometimes people are hurt and then they jump into something else, and you realize why you in the same predicament, because you never healed between going from A to B. You just jump right into it. Sometimes you got to sit in that moment before you hit B, so you can appreciate B when you get there, because it's not fair to B if you're not healed, because now B got to deal with all the trauma from A. That's a lot. That's a whole word for somebody right there. So you don't want to have to see a different person with a different name and a different face, but they got the same issues. And you do attract what you manifest. And so, really, I want people to start getting more into abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, because scarcity mindset is that fear that things is just, not going to be available. And an abundance mindset is, I'm working on what I want, and I'm going to do what needs to be done, and I'm going to seek God first and everything, and just always just looking for growth, like you're growing a tree. And, when you grow, you make fruit and you can bear fruit. And when they say you bear fruit, you got to be careful of people with scarcity mindset, because they normally have a tree, but they're not bearing any fruit, or their fruit is not good. So just really be mindful of watching the five people that you spend the most time around, because you become more like the environment that you saturate yourself in. And sometimes you may not be saturated around anybody but just yourself and God, and that's a moment of isolation. And I think I have to do a whole episode on that, because I was speaking to someone about that, and I just really recognize that a lot of people do struggle with isolation. And there are some positive things to isolation. So I think I'm going to do something on that. I'm going to get ready to wrap up with this, and it's recognize the stages that you are in, and celebrate each one and embrace each one. And that's where that whole thing I talked about with isolation sometimes, oh, this was so good. I was watching something. He's a pastor and he has a church. I think it's Union Church in Charlotte. I have to get more information, but he was talking about a cake. It made me think about a podcast I heard on Joyce Myers, but this rendition that he had was like on point, and he talked about seasons that we're in. He said, "Yeah, you want cake. You ask God for cake, but God gave you flour, and that's your dry season. It's dry. Everything dry." And then he talking about eggs, and he talked about sugar, and he talked about each little season. But what do you need to make a cake? You need those ingredients. So you have to celebrate and appreciate each of those seasons, because when you have all those and they've all come down through, you can now make the cake. But you would never be able to make the cake if you never went through those things. So really the point there is becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. Is sometimes you're in those seasons and you don't like them because they're uncomfortable. It's a dry season, it's a sugary sweet season. Things is real cute, things is real sexy. Then you got things where it's like I'm in growth, and I'm working on me. I'm in there working to the grind, right? When you beating eggs, you got to work. And so there's seasons, and when you can say, okay, I'm in my working season, right? Because at some point I'm going to reap my harvest, or it's my dry season. So it's like, it's a little tight. I'm going to have to just be in prayer with God, or whatever it is that you do. Because not everybody that I listen to is on that spiritual level. But I am a true believer that if you see God in anything, like he will support you. There was many times in my own trials that it was just me and it was him, and it was me and it was him. And that is when I got the strongest, because he will remove you from things that are distractions. And that's why I said I think I have to do a whole episode on the power of isolation. And so, with me closing up, I just want you to understand that becoming comfortable with being comfortable will help you on your healing journey. We're going to recap on some things and I'm going to get you out of here. And that is finding that safe place. Remember, hurt people hurt people. So we out here trying to heal people. So get around people that's going to elevate you and get you more in that abundance mindset and not that scarcity mindset. Okay. I want you to just start. A baby step is still a step. Okay. Get out your own way. And remember, you're showing up to serve. So sometimes it's just speaking to the one, because you never know, that one person that you're speaking to could be the one that tell the one that gets you to where you're going. So be obedient. Take your mask off or take your cape off. It's that power of vulnerability, courage, right? And so you start off with courage, and then you'll get confident by continuing to do it over and over again. And then you'll become comfortable because you're now confident in it because you have continued to do it. And only to learn a behavior is to do it, what they say, about 30 days. And so continue to do that. And if you're still uncomfortable, start speaking affirmations over yourself and getting yourself in a space. I told my one client, write it out on a post note. I'm becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. She had it at her desk and she would read over it, and she was able to pivot her mindset throughout the day. And she started changing her mindset by doing different things, by just refocusing her brain on, this is an opportunity that I'm going to go ahead and step out. Create gates, not walls, right? Allow it in. Think of it like the cell membrane. Like, listen, you're going to be a gatekeeper. Let in what's for you and keep out. Your peace is priority. Peace is priority. Now, if it don't serve me and it's causing me distress and all that, it's got to go. Peace is what I seek now, because it's nothing like a level of peace. That was my word for last year, was pivot towards peace. And this year my thing is evolve. And that's why, I'm doing more IG lives and becoming comfortable. You'll notice I'm more seen on videos. I did a branding shoot. They did that thing. I'm just saying I could track my own progress of stepping out of being uncomfortable. And so I want you to do the same, because it's something that's on your life. We all have gifts. We all have a purpose. And in order to get to where you're going, sometimes you got to step outside of your comfort to do it. And you may have to step outside of people who know you, because it's sometimes most of your supporters will come from the people who don't know you because they need you. And so, in order to go find your audience, you have to go into places that are uncomfortable to get them, or for them to see you. Ooh, that's a word. Okay. And so, listen, the ebook is out. People ask me about a promotional code, 25% off. Go ahead, get the ebook, type in podcast, podcast, at the checkout. It's Blessing Women Near and Far. We got the Hot Healing Girl Summer event. I'm getting the guests and planning together. That's going to be in July. So stay tuned. You want to know more about it? Slide over to intentionalqueenjourney.com, slide into the newsletter and sign up. And that'll be where I'll be doing that. The Intentional Refuel comes out the last Thursday of every month. Go back and listen to Perfection Paralysis. That was really good, where I was talking about practice makes progress or improvement, because that's going to help you on your journey. And man, level up your intentional queen to a better you. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.